The fight starts internally.
Hmm.
The work, the effort, the manifestation of what you want starts internally. And all three of them overlap. When you're talking about business, you're talking about spiritual growth and mindset. Both of them, those are two circles that overlap, because the outer spiritual growth is your acts of service towards others.
All right, guys, it's another episode of Wrestling with Mindset with yours truly, Jose G. Today, I'm bringing on someone that I met recently. We clicked off really, really well. We vibed off of each other. We had a really deep conversation about a week ago, and I decided to bring him on the show because he has a lot of nuggets of knowledge to share with the world. And I think that the world could benefit from a little bit of this. So I'm bringing in Coach Jorge Vazquez from JV Coaching and Consulting. He talks about business coaching, fitness coaching, nutritional coaching. And man, it's just an honor to have him on the show today. He's a published author, has a free ebook right now, The Balance, and he has a book on Amazon called The Success is Standing. And with me today, Coach, how are you, Coach Jorge, JV Coaching and Consulting? Welcome to Wrestling with Mindset. It is a blessing to have you on, broski. Thank you for being on.
Oh, no worries. The honor is mine. Happy to be here.
Hey, man. So before we get started, guys, why don't you tell a little bit about your story to everyone, how you got involved with coaching, a little bit about who Jorge is, and how you became the person that you are right now.
Okay. So, like a brief synopsis,
Yeah.
come from a military family, Navy brat. Growing up, I started my entrepreneurial journey, and of course, there's a whole bunch of little stories within all of this. But I'm just going to do like a synopsis. I started my entrepreneurial mindset journey at the age of 10. At the age of 17, I started my first network marketing business, and it grew in from there. Let me backtrack a little bit. At 14 is when I started working on personal development and mindset. I started doing it with um, Tony Robbins. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. It was Daily Magic. That's what it's called. I
Oh,
started
wow.
Tony Robbins Daily Magic at 14 with my uncle, one of my uncles. He's the one that got me introduced to personal development. I've been studying and researching it, and practicing and implementing it ever since then. I went into the military at 26 years old. I turned 27 in boot camp. I joined the Marine Corps, so I'm a Marine Corps veteran. Had a couple of business endeavors in between. From 17 on, I've been had a job and built a business till it doubled my income. Then I quit the job, focus on the business, and through one way, shape, or form, life happens. Uh, in Florida, 2008, there was a crisis. 2010, there was another crisis, and then December of 2011, I enlisted.
Wow.
Fast forward now, towards the beginning of summer of 2019, I lost 7 businesses, filed divorce, lost my home, lost my car. Anybody and everybody in that town that at one point liked me or called me brother, then hated me and was like, if I see you on the street, I'll kill you. Everybody lost money. I lost a lot. And it's a total, not just my money, but everybody invested, and the money that was built and reinvested into the business was $1.2 million. Lost all of that. And it took a while for me to be able to speak about all of this. And just this, all the negative thoughts of letting people down and feeling like a piece of shit, pardon my French, but
Nah, you're good, man. This is uncensored and unfiltered. You're good.
it's, all the negative self-talk was happening. And no matter how much, I mean, I've done decades of personal development, but every, every time you engage in business and you expand the envelope of your comfort zone, you have to get into discomfort in order to grow it. So I reached a point where I was extremely beyond my comfort zone, and then everything came crashing down on me, and I needed to regroup. And I was at a place where I had nobody. I had one person, a Marine Corps brother of mine, that offered me to stay in his house, but I'm allergic to animals, and he had 6 dogs,
Oh, man.
so I couldn't burden him or myself with that. I mean, I did have a service dog. One dog I can tolerate with some medication, but 6 dogs? I don't know. I wasn't able
Uh,
to do that.
an asthma attack waiting to
Um,
happen, man.
and then March of 2020, I finally made it down to Florida right before the pandemic lockdown. I'd already started making a shift in my mindset, my attitude, how I was going to help people, and I started remembering all the original teachings and all my original passions that I had growing up. I've always been a coach, a martial arts coach, fitness coach, a nutrition coach. I'm a certified chef, so I've done multiple nutrition courses, um, along with my fitness coaching courses, transformation specialists or spiritual journeys, things like that, and all of those individual coaching aspects I've done separately, and I created this practice to encompass all of them into one, a one-stop shop coaching program. So you don't need to have a separate person for spiritual coach, have a separate person for mindset
Yeah.
coach, have a separate person for fitness and nutrition, have a separate person for business. One-stop shop. If you like the way I coach in one area, you're going to like the way I coach in all of these areas. So it's just an all-encompassing program just made sense.
I love that you took all of your life experiences and you kind of packaged it up in in this coaching seminar, right? Because you're taking things that you learned from your own nutritional journey, from losing weight and doing things, from just being disciplined into the military. And I know a little bit about that just because I grew up in the military. We talked about that and bonded a little bit over that. I never joined. As a matter of fact, funny story. Back in 2001, when I had decided to join, I had signed up, I got to MEPS, I did my physical, I did everything that I needed to do, and I got rejected. I got rejected because when I was a kid, I had a collapsed lung. So they were
Oh
like,
wow.
"Oh, we have these records from you from when you were like 4 years old. So therefore, we disqualified you." 2 months later was September 11th.
Oh wow. Blessing in disguise. There you go.
So I kind of dodged it, but I've always had the utmost respect for anyone who have served any branch of the services, just because I grew up in that. My grandfather was part of that, so I have the utmost respect. So thank you for your service, for being part of the Marines, and bringing that discipline into your mindset, and bringing that discipline into your course. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I'm really interested in learning about when we talked a little bit briefly when we spoke last week. But tell me about your journey about becoming a published author, because I think that's just the coolest accomplishment. Because first of all, publishing a book is not an easy task. There's a lot of research that needs to go behind it. You need to get proofreading, you need to get editors. Being that I've worked in media for a while now, I understand how things are built in the back end. So becoming a published author, you have an ebook right now that you've had been advertising on your social media, The Balance, and you have another one on Amazon right now. Success is Standing. Can you share with the audience a little bit about the process of becoming an author, and a little bit about both books on what the readers can expect?
Absolutely. And then before I answer that, I'm going to do a little bit of backstory. So, growing up, I was an ESOL and ESE student.
Oh, wow.
So, I had a reading disability, quote unquote, a
In
reading
case in
disability.
case the audience members don't know, ESOL is English as a second language. So that's something that they teach here in the United States, usually for like students that come from foreign countries, from like Puerto Rico, South America. So ESOL, English as a second language. Sorry to interrupt you there, George. Jose.
Oh, no worries. You just beat me to the punch. That's all. So I'm considered a special needs kid because of my learning disability. So, fast forwarding till now, so writing a book wasn't the easiest thing for me because I had these false limiting beliefs that I had to overcome. And I started doing research on what is needed to be an author, to be a published author, to write your own book, things like that. You don't need to have a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's degree. You just need to have done the research, know what you're talking about, and be able to create something that resonates with people. And I had that by the boatloads. I have stories for days. So this book, Success is Standing, is on my most recent learning experience, as I call it. Uh, I call it my fall from grace in 2020 or 2019. 2020 is when I came out of it. So, and it talks about what I was feeling, the process that I was going through, and things like that. And it was just, and it's good to know that there is a step by step process that needs to happen in order for you to be able to go from disaster to destiny, which is an online course that I created based on the book. But everything falling apart to getting back on your feet and trying again. So, and it really goes into detail, and then my online course goes even into more detail on what the book shows, what
And
book shares.
And for the viewers, we'll have all the links in the description for the courses and his social media. So we'll have everything right below in the description available for you guys. So you guys can check out Coach Jorge. But I love that, man, and I think you're absolutely right. Something that you said a little bit earlier about becoming an author, that you don't have to be this PhD or this, this renowned member of the Scholar Academic Society to, to write a book. Anybody can write a book as long as you do your research and you don't sound like an ass when you're writing your book, right?
Absolutely.
You want to have some credibility behind what you are researching. But I find it incredible and I find it amazing because putting in the amount of research behind writing a book and then publishing the book, it takes a lot of discipline, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's like anything, like for me, I love producing shows. I love producing podcasts. I love producing anything visual. I love it. And that's my thing, but that's my discipline. And I will do it. And like, you know, I researched a lot on how to do it. It was something that was not taught to me. I ended up going to school and they taught me the very bare minimum, but the most of it I learned it by looking up online, looking up on YouTube. So just doing your own research on how to develop a skill is so important. And becoming an author and just adding that notch into your belt is beautiful. And I think that's so important, especially in the mindset space, since it's growing so exponentially over the last 3 years. And we'll jump into that since you mentioned that around 2019, 2020, right around the pandemic, you lost everything. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. We went into that year, this huge situation was thrown at us, and us as humans, we were all just kind of like locked into the matrix, right? Everything was just, hunky dory. Everything was, normal. Money was flowing in. Everything was going fine. And then boom,
Yep.
everything stops, right? And I've heard this from multiple leaders, multiple CEOs that I've interviewed in the past and I've had relationships with. They've lost everything, right? And they've had to start from ground zero. And now, but this time is different. In 2020, things are different. And we talked about this when we met last week, and we said, and I said that 2020 caused a lot of people to kind of wake up and awaken to the fact that the life that they were living for all this time is, and nothing, it's not real. It's entire bullshit, because you're being fed a narrative and then the narrative isn't right. And then you have people being, divided off of that narrative. So there's just, everything's just being created to divide people. Right.
Yeah, and it's so
So,
important.
yeah.
It's
So,
so important to create your own narrative.
yes,
You
yes.
be the author of your own life.
Exactly, exactly. And that trickles now into the mindset thing, side of things, right? Because we've seen this shift, we've seen this awakening over the last 2 3 years, and we've also seen an exponential growth in entrepreneurship. There's been a lot of people over the last 10 to 20 years, myself included. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I've also been part of the workforce for a long time, so I know both sides of the coin. However, I've always been more attracted to the entrepreneur, the excitement. But we've seen this exponential growth in people want to become entrepreneurs, people taking their mindset and mental health a little bit more seriously. So, one thing that I loved about you, you preach mindset, you preach what you're supposed to be, what things that you should be doing. Tell me a little bit about how you coach some of your students when it comes to business mindset and self-education. What are some of the things that you found that helped you and that you have seen that have positive results in others?
I have always been one to study people that have what I want to get. So as far as being a coach and some things like that, I followed people that were experts in the field in the industry. My first mentor from a distance, of course, was Tony Robbins. He charges around $1 million right now for his one-on-one coaching.
Hmm.
That's where I want to be.
Imagine the knowledge, though. I mean,
The
that's a lot
knowledge,
of it.
the amount of he's been 46 years coaching people, plus all the studying beforehand. So he started when he was 17 years old. If I'm looking at it like that, I started a little bit earlier. But he's in his, he's 40, he's 4 decades, almost 5 decades uh, into the industry. So what I did, I focused on what he did as far as education, as far as personal development, as far as knowledge bases, how to i- increase my skill levels, my skill sets, so that I can then facilitate to my clients.
I think that's so important what you just said right there. If what I found that worked really well for me is I was so entrapped in my own bubble of what I was doing previously that it was consumed on my social media, it was consumed on everywhere I look. For example, so my world, as you can see right here, WWE, wrestling, right? Combat sports. That's my
Yep.
world. I interviewed, a bunch of celebrities. I went to all these big events. That was my world, right? But I found some things about that world because that was something that I manifested. That's something that I really wanted. I wanted to be involved with that world. I wanted to work. I wanted to be that I wanted that to be my career. And I made it happen, but sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for because it never comes out as you thought it would come out in your head. So I'm coming from a world where it's all about the clickbait, it's all about the title, it's all about how I can gain more eyes on this article or on this video piece. It's all about almost deceiving the viewer or deceiving the reader. And that just didn't align with me anymore. It was just like, I love wrestling. I'll watch it. I'll go back to being a fan. I don't need to be involved in the business anymore. Right. But now I'm looking at it from the outside, realizing that that was now part of my past. It's not who I am now. Now I'm deciding who I wanted to be. So when I decided to go on this journey, I was like, damn, I really need to learn who I need to if I want to get on this journey, I need to follow the people that really matter and the people who are successful. So Tony Robbins, obviously, the most successful person in the self-development and mindset space. You got guys like Ed Milet, Tom Bilyeu, you have Lewis Howes, some of the
Brendan
best.
Burchard. Brendan Burchard is coming up real close in the ranks with Tony Robbins.
Exactly,
So
Brendan
Brendan
Burchard,
Burchard,
Dean
Trent
Graziosi.
Sheldon, yep,
Uh,
Dean Graziosi. Like
so there's
the
a
list goes
ton.
on. The list goes
Yes.
on really
So
great coaches.
absolutely. So not only just coaches, right? But now I'm looking at business leaders like YouTubers, real estate people. Like what is the common denominator on what all these leaders and CEOs and multimillionaires and billionaires do? And it all comes back down to a couple of things that I've really narrowed it down. One, morning routine, super important, and two is spirituality. So as a leader and as a coach, what can you tell me and how do those two things kind of intertwine with the spirituality and business mindset? Like how do you find where they're intertwined and how they fit together perfectly in the puzzle?
That's a really good question, and I'm going to refer to my free ebook, The Balance. I my coaching program is comprised of a balance between mind, body, and spirit, mindset, fitness, and nutrition, and spiritual growth, inner and outer spiritual growth. And now I'll go into those two things a little bit more into detail later on if we have the time. You need to
Oh,
have a
we got
balance
time.
in all three of those areas in order to be able to then focus externally. The fight starts internally.
Hmm.
The work, the effort, the manifestation of what you want starts internally. And all three of them overlap. When you're talking about business, you're talking about spiritual growth and mindset. Both of them, those are two circles that overlap because The outer spiritual growth is your acts of service towards others and relationships, not just intimate relationships, all types of relationships, including business, business to customer, whether it's your business or someone else's business. You work for somebody else. If you're in sales, you're the front line of defense for that company. The people that come in that door, they see you first. They see the sign outside, they come inside, they see you. You're representing the company. How best you serve them dictates their experience at that establishment, which gives the establishment good reviews. Same thing with your business. The way you deal with your customers, or speak with your customers, interact with your customers, the amount of service you give them. If you go above and beyond, they're gonna turn from customers into raving fans, and they will always come back because your aim is not to get the money from them. Your aim is service. What can I do for you to make your life better? As a coach, that is what we all focus on, or we should focus on. I know I do. What I can do for my customer, what for my client, to help them bridge the gap in whatever area of their life that they're working on. and
I
and
love
that's
that.
that's what it all boils down to. So a balance. You need to first work on a balance internally before you can work on a balance externally.
I love that because that is also another common denominator I see amongst a lot of the very successful leaders, not only in the mindset space, but also in the business space. Service, right? When you are providing a service, and it could be any type of service, right? It could be
Yeah.
it could be food, it could be
Any industry.
anything. You're
Any
providing a
industry.
service. And the thing is that the word about service, that word is so powerful because you're serving people, you're serving a purpose, right? So that is very powerful. So I think when for the viewers who are entering your entrepreneurial journey, your self-awareness journey, your mindset journey, think about it as service. So for example, like my business, I provide Spanish translations, dubbing, social media services for other businesses that don't have that content, right? And the reactions is like, I never thought I needed that because now I have this many more followers, this many more subscribers, this many more clients than now I never thought I had this opening to. So it's such a cool thing when you can help a business exponentially grow their business by providing a service. So I think that's very powerful. So service is so important, especially in the mindset. What about morning routine, man? I think morning routine. We see a lot of things now. Social media is such a conduit for providing viral trends on what you should be doing. So we see everything from ice baths. We see everything from saunas, journaling, meditating, exercising. Uh, I've found that there's really not a perfect morning routine. I think everyone has to have their own tailored morning routine, but I think that everyone should have a morning routine. So, what's something that you do that has helped you profoundly in this journey, and what are some of the things that you help instruct your students on when it comes to morning routine?
Now you said it like almost perfectly before. The perfect routine is your routine, not anybody else's routine. So whatever area of life that you seek improvement, those are the things that you need to tailor your routine to. Now, because I practice what I preach, my morning routine includes mindset activities, includes body fitness and nutrition activities, and includes also spiritual development routine. So I pray in the morning. One of the first things I do. Once my eyes open up, I say thank you. Then I go into a meditation, just a 5-minute meditation, just to calm everything down because I've very high energy, and if I don't center myself, then my day is going to go in 50 million directions. So the night before, I journal. My evening routines is journaling not just what I've accomplished that day, my to done list, but also the activities that I need, the 5 to 7 major activities I need to accomplish the next day. Right. So in the morning, pray, 5-minute meditation, I stretch, and then I actually do a hot and then flash cold shower. And I also meditate in the shower. We had this conversation before. In
Yeah.
the shower, I meditate more because water relaxes me. Water,
Hmm.
it's my place of peace and zen, and I'm not next to the beach. It's about an hour and 20 minutes drive from us, right?
Yeah.
So I can't just go outside every morning and listen to the waves or be in the water. And I don't have a swimming pool in the area where I'm at. So that's the next best thing, the shower.
Yeah, man. I think I live about 45 minutes from the beach, but I'm still not going to drive 45 minutes in the morning to
Yeah.
do my meditation at the beach. So the shower it is. I do.
Yep.
I do the same there, man. Let's shift things a little bit into back to a little bit of business mindset, but I want to talk a little bit about finance, a little bit about money, and people's relationship with money, right? Because uh, during the pandemic, everything got shut down. People were staying at home. Government was printing checks left and right, printing money, printing money. People had money in their pockets. Now people are back to work. Inflation's up. Eggs are $10 a dozen. Gas just went up another 20, 30 cents.
Not if you buy
Uh,
them from Amazon.
yeah.
Eggs on
Uh,
Amazon are still like $4.
and if you look at the numbers, like if you look at the numbers, like with the debt to income ratio in the United States, it's 124% right now. That's
Absolutely.
the highest it's ever been in the history of the country. The GDP right now, it's somewhere around 847%. The
Yep.
debt to the GDP. So the numbers are ridiculous. The numbers are bad. There's definitely a lot of volatility both in the stock market, in crypto, and in that space. So people are scared. People are scared of money right now. People are scared of finances. So, what are some mindset tips and things that people can learn during this time to have a better relationship with money?
So when we talk about the information that's being fed to us by these business entities, we have to take it like a pinch of salt. They're only going based on the data that they have. I forget the percentage exactly, but there's a percentage of money that doesn't pass through bank accounts and taxes and all these things. There's a percentage of money that doesn't, it's cash,
Yeah.
right? So yes, it's important to know those things. Yes, it's important to know the value of the dollar, but it's more important to know what you do with your dollar and how you put your dollars to work for you.
Hmm.
Because you're not supposed to be working for the dollar. You're supposed to have the dollar working for you. And in order to do that, you need to work on your own personal plan, not somebody else's personal plan, i.e., a job. Just doing the job will keep you just over broke.
That's what it means. That's
Okay.
what it means.
They just took the definition of slavery and put it in, put it in a nice little picture frame, fancy picture frame for everybody to be like, hey, you want security? Well, the biggest expense of a company is labor.
Yeah, I
When the
think,
shit hits, yeah, when the shit hits the fan, that's the first thing all these companies did is lay people off. People were getting laid off all the time, including military branches.
yeah,
The Air Force in Tampa, they let off like 11,000 people a couple years back.
wow.
Even government jobs are being let go. So,
Yeah, it's a scary situation. And understandably so, right? Understandably so. We came from, we're just coming, we're still in the pandemic, but it's not as relevant, right? It's not the
correct. Now
narrative.
we're worried more about the depression coming around the corner than we are
Exactly. It's not the narrative
or the
anymore. So now
recession.
people
Sorry.
people are scared about their pensions, or so I think people should really start understanding what money is and how to make money work for them. And that's going to be the way to prosperity and to kind of get over this hump that we're about to go into later this year. But I think you hit it right on the nail right there, man. Let's shift things over to relationships, man. Relationships is always a fun topic because relationships is such a broad spectrum. You have your personal relationships with your parents, your siblings, some of your family members, and you have your other relationship with your friends, your significant other, kids. Um, Tell me about how your relationships have changed since having this awakening and this mindset shift and just this different way of approaching life and approaching business when it comes to, as opposed to before the pandemic?
So you are what you tolerate. The
Hmm.
more you have balance with yourself, the more you see your value and your self-worth. And once your value yourself, your the value that you put on yourself and the self-worth that you have, you know the knowledge you have, you know the experience you have, you know your abilities, your capabilities of doing things. You know how well you learn new tasks depending on what field it is, whether it's a physical task where it's more of a mental strain for you, and but you can get it, you pick up on it quick. You know your skill set. So once you're aware of your own self worth and you know what you bring to the table, it's up to you to not let things take away from your quality of life and your quality of self. So if it's not helping me, or if it's not helping me grow, or if it's not feeding who I am or what I do, then I don't put any energy. I don't waste my time with it. I don't give it the time of day. If there's a relationship of whatever type, and they come at me with something that I don't agree with, I simply thank you for your opinion because it's their opinion.
Hmm.
I don't agree with you, nor do I care to spend my time thinking about that. With all due respect, go your way, I'll go my way. There doesn't
Hmm.
have to be any animosity. There doesn't have to be any hatred or any disdain or anything like. There don't have to be anything like that. That's just feeding bad energy.
Hmm.
How is that helping you? That's only eating yourself out. You're tearing yourself apart by thinking of all those of anger and hatred and distaste and all those things. Focus on the stuff that you want to grow with, you want to get better at. And that's one of the things that I entertained other people's opinions, because shit hit the fan. I lost everything, not just my money, the investors' money. And I
Hmm.
tried to keep a contact with as many of those people as possible. But every conversation was them yelling at me and cursing at me, and telling me if they see me on the street, they're going to kill me. All of these are military people. They're ready, willing, and able to do it. So just that level of knowledge and other people's abilities to end my life at
Hmm.
any given moment, I was definitely not at peace. Not with myself, not with the world around me. Everything was hostile. I was feeding it. I was entertaining it until I got to a point where I realized my self-worth, and I was like, at the end of the day, I'm still a human being and I still deserve to be spoken with, not spoken to or at.
Hmm.
So until I made that distinction, hey, look, yes, money was lost. Yes, I want to pay it back. Do I it was a financial investment. There's always a risk for loss.
Hmm.
And yes, because of all this stuff, I had to file bankruptcy. The only thing that that means is that I'm not financially obligated to pay anything back from the past, but
Hmm.
I'm morally obligated to take care of the people that believed in me in the past.
Hmm.
So whether they like it or not, whether they still believe in me or not, whether they still talk to me or not, eventually they're going to receive a knock on their door or a check in the mail or a phone call or a text message or something saying thank you. Despite whatever negative thing they said to me, I'm not entertaining the negative aspect of it.
Yeah. You're just showing gratitude.
I'm showing the gratitude, which is what's more important, the gratitude, the
I
grace,
think
the blessings.
I think you said, I think we just came to a really big thing there. Gratitude is so important, and a lot of people lose focus or even lose the idea of gratitude because they're so trapped in either their social media and their phone or in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, being caught up in traffic and things like that. And they just don't take a moment to be like, I'm grateful for this. And it comes back to business too. And you know what? No, it sucks. No one wants to lose money, right? I mean,
Who
the,
wants to lose
us
money?
humans,
Nobody.
as humans, we have this ungodly obsession with money, right? And this has just been something that we've been indoctrinated with for for many, many, many years. But I think that the simple fact of you just already have that in your mental picture of sending a check or having the phone call with the money and saying, thank you for this. You don't have to talk to me ever again, but just thank you for being there for me in that moment in
Right.
time. That's very powerful. And even though they may have been mad at you all these years, as soon as they get that, they'll be like, damn, I shouldn't have been a dick.
But that's not a conversation or for
No,
me to worry about.
no, it's not. It's not.
That's that's between them and God, and not between them and me.
I get that.
I'm not here to judge anybody. I can understand their concern or their agitation or their anger or the things like I understand what happened. Everybody lost. Nobody lost more than I did. But it's nobody else's fault but my own.
Now, one thing I wanted to hit on, right there within the same relationship group, and you just said it was judgment. And we talked about that a little bit last week on, for me at least, how I'm dealing with judgment right now is that I'm recognizing when I'm judging people, even when I'm thinking about it. And so I'm just catching myself trying not to judge people because the ultimate goal is to be completely not judgmental. But in the reality that we live in, the country that we live in, and at the time we live in, it's very hard not to be judgmental. So I do the very best work that I can on working on being judgmental towards others. And I just kind of go back into myself, right? So being through all the stuff that you've been through, being called at and threatened at, I'm sure you've had your share of judgments towards you. How do you deal with judgment now towards others?
I do my best, and we're all human. I always look at every possible scenario. I've always examined things before taking a step. When I stop doing this is when everything um, starts not going like normal. So if someone comes up to me judging me, because I still have that, I still have
Hmm.
people coming up to me judging me, sending me messages and all that stuff. I take it like I understand where you're coming from. I acknowledge their pain. For some type of, for one way, shape, or form, they have some type of a pain that's causing them to hurt someone else. Hurt people hurt people. I know we've all heard that. They're hurting in some way, shape, or form, and they believe that I'm the cause of that hurt. And yes, I acknowledge how they feel, and I understand how they feel, but I don't have to tolerate how they feel. That's the difference. And as much as they can hate me, I can also hate them for how they're treating me. But why am I going to feed more hate into that?
Hmm.
Look, if you don't have anything nice to say or you don't want to speak with me and you're just going to talk at me, don't bother calling. Don't bother texting. If you continue to harass me, guess what? And I have to take actions a different way. Like I'm telling you to leave me alone. I'm telling you there's nothing that we can do right now. Let me build. Let me grow. Let me make something of myself. And then let me reach out to you.
Boundaries.
Yep. Set your
Boundaries.
boundaries. What you tolerate. That's your boundaries.
Yeah,
Also,
you.
when it comes to relationships, we just keep talking about. I want to mention this before I forget it. Levels of expectation. Mitigate your levels of expectation. You can't expect a acquaintance to do the same things that a best friend would do.
Hmm.
You can't expect a best friend to do things that a brother would do. You can't expect a brother to do things that a mother or father would do.
Hmm.
Always audit your levels of expectation. Nobody has to do anything for you. They only have to worry about themselves. The fact that they do anything for you is a blessing, and you should
Hmm.
be grateful for it. You shouldn't have the levels of expectation. Oh, they should be doing this. They should be doing that. No, they don't have to do jack.
No.
They do what they do because they love you. They respect you. They want to help you. They want to be with you, be around you, support you. They don't have to do any of that. They choose to do it. And once people start realizing, oh, fucking right. He, man, I got to call Jimmy back and tell him my bad for treating him like a dick for not helping me when I needed him. They don't have to help you.
No, no, you're right about that.
Yeah,
And it comes back also back to like everyone is so kind of focused with what's going on in their own paradigm and in their own bubble that it's easy to be like, ah, I don't want to deal with that, or ah, I don't want to hang out with this person, or no, I just it's what the pandemic has taught us is that it's easy to just ignore people, or it's easy to be a dick to others. So, uh,
correct. And the thing is, without working on yourself,
yeah,
that's running away from your issues.
so good,
And
man.
and that's the difference. If you're not working on yourself and you're like, "Ugh, I can't be bothered." You haven't done anything to work on yourself. You're not improving yourself. You're just running away from dealing with something that you have to deal with. You have to work through things. You
Hmm.
have to work through those relationships. If you don't want the relationship anymore, don't just ghost them.
Yeah.
That's also going to feed into their reality,
Hmm.
and it's not going to feed it in a positive way.
Yeah. And
You're
and
gonna say,
you
"Hey,
are
look,
what you
man, we
attract.
don't vibe anymore. I'm continue to grow, and you're not growing. You're at a fixed mindset. I'm a growth mindset. This relationship's not serving either of us. So I'm just going to cut ties now. If you need me, I'm here for you. Just call me whenever you want, but I'm not going to reach out to you anymore."
Yeah.
That way they know where they stand, and you just move on.
But people just the thing is that it's most people don't have that audacity. They don't have that in them or that courtesy to be like, "Oh, by the way, I don't need you anymore." It's hard, right? Like, how do you say to your friend, "Oh, by the way, you're not serving me anymore, so I'm just gonna cut the relation." So it's really hard to say that, right?
Yeah,
But
well, it depends on the verbiage you use. I mean,
right, yeah, yeah, you're right about that.
if
You're
you
you're
if
right.
you go straight up to them, you're like, "Hey, you don't serve me anymore, so I'm not gonna fuck with you no more."
By the way,
That's all
you're off
messed
my
up.
list. You're off my list.
You're off
All
my
right,
list.
man.
No,
Couple more
but
questions here before we close things out. One question that I ask all of my guests is, what is your definition of success?
my definition of success. Now, I have different areas of success, but overall, to be able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, wherever I want, at any time. In order for that level of freedom, because of the profession that I've chose, I need to serve more. So the more I serve, the more I'll be able to have those freedoms.
I love it. I absolutely love that. All right, man. So we're gonna close the show with a quick little game. It's a word association game, and basically, I'm just gonna throw out random words to you. You can throw back a random word to me, the first thing that comes to your mind, or a catchphrase, or a motto, whatever you want. Just what first thing that comes into your mind. All right.
Sure.
So first word, money,
Options,
freedom,
time,
family,
love.
friendship,
Awesome.
life,
A path,
business,
fun,
and entrepreneurship.
the future.
Hey, man, bro. I love it, man. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Jorge Vasquez from JV Coaching and Consulting. The links to his coaching course online will be available in the description below. So make sure you guys click that right now. All his social media will also be posted below. So make sure you go ahead and click on his stuff, follow him, take his course, get your mind right, especially in 2023. We got a lot. It's not even the first quarter, and there's so much going on. So this is the time to get your mind right. So go ahead, head on over, click the description below so you can get all of Coach Jorge's info. Uh, Jorge, I got to say, man, this has been one of the most meaningful conversations I've had on the show. I appreciate you. I am grateful, full of gratitude, and I can't wait to do this again. Hopefully, we can do it in person next time because that was the original
Absolutely.
plan was to do it in
Yeah.
person. But next time we'll get it done in person, and it'll be even better than this time. So I love it. Appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you again for being here. Do you have any other last words before we sign off?
It's a quote that I've been leaning into this week. Said it quite often. You don't drown by jumping into the river. You drown by staying in the river too long. Know your time. Know when to jump in. Know when to get out. There's a process.
I love it. Coach Jorge, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.